If you found this video, you're awesome. You're probably a professional tattoo artist that wants to do realistic portraits. Have you ever wanted to do a portrait but didn't know where to start? Have you ever been frustrated with how artists can make portraits look so real? Do you know how to do a portrait, but maybe you're looking to take them to the next level? I'm Dax McClellan, founder of the Realistic Portrait System and tattooingportraits.com. I'm going to give you this information in a very simple to use way that empowers you to take on portraits with confidence, and that'll allow you to achieve the level of talent that you've always thought you could, but you as an artist could never quite get there. Whether you're an artist that has done portraits, or you're a newbie to portraits, or you're experienced at portrait tattooing. The goal of this training here is to get you to that level just above where you're at right now, immediately. Immediate impact. And then in the next weeks, months or so, is to really get you to a level where you're killing every portrait that you do. That's the goal of the Realistic Portrait System. And of course, when I say kill every portrait, that doesn't mean every portrait from today. If you do 5 to 10 portraits and they're improving every time, that's a great fucking start to your portraits. I've been tattooing for over 11 years, and I'm known most for my realistic portraits. And behind the success that I've had is something called the Realistic Portrait System. Let me explain to you what the Realistic Portrait System is exactly. It's just a visual that allows any artist to understand that every portrait has both a starting point and an ending point. So when you get started, you already have a goal in mind, which is to kill the portrait. So this is your start, and this is your finished portrait. When you start to think of this process as a step-by-step system, you'll realize that doing a portrait is easier than you thought. And in the real world, you'll realize that all portraits don't follow this exact process. And this shows you sort of a healthy boundary that a portrait can go in before you really lose control of it and mess up somebody's skin. The key when effectively doing portraits is to control the process. As soon as you lose control, you're no longer tattooing the best possible product. You're just tattooing. And it's very hard to get the portrait you want, and of course the portrait that your client wants. The most important thing to me in this whole equation is that you take the tools you're about to learn and you use them with the highest knowledge and ethics, assuming you know the tools you're working with. See, at the heart of what tattooing portraits really is the ability to help clients get the quality of portrait they should be getting. You're not here to give somebody a messed up tattoo. If you can't even draw a portrait on paper, don't tattoo one. That would mess up a relationship with a client, and I've been down that road, and it doesn't end well. So the idea is take clients who are nervous about getting a portrait and show them by using the Realistic Portrait System how to move through that barrier so that it empowers them to get the portrait they want and also get you what you want, which is to tattoo a realistic portrait. And I'll tell you an interesting thing that happened to me in the last year, something that clarified my own understanding of how potent this system really is. I was talking to a few of the top artists in the tattoo industry about what holds artists back from tattooing portraits at the highest level. And what I've found out is there are basically 3 things I'm going to show you right now that were very interesting. The first thing that holds people back is they feel overwhelmed. And what that means is they get into this emotional state where there's so much going on, so many different skills to learn, so many different strategies that they can do first, second, or third, that what happens basically is when you don't know what you should do first, you get into that state where it all seems to be piling down on you. You end up doing what? Nothing. And in this state, you can't do anything well. That's the first thing that really holds people back from doing portraits on skin. The second thing is not understanding what your why is. And this is really why you do what you do. People will say, I want to do a portrait to be able to do them. And the truth is, that's okay and I get that. But in terms of what your why represents, why you're doing what you're doing, what's your vision for your own future, How does your actions affect your career, your talents? Understanding your why is crucial into allowing yourself to really motivate yourself every single day to overcome the barriers and obstacles that are sure to come up in any challenging tattoo. So if it's just doing a portrait to do a portrait, when the time arises, you're gonna be like, it ain't worth it. I don't really wanna do this. So when you attach a powerful why to your future, you'll find yourself very easily overcoming obstacles. And that was the second thing. And this is the third thing I've heard from many tattoo artists. The single most important thing that holds people back from tattooing portraits at the highest level is they haven't invested the effort into learning the art of portraits. And what that really means is they don't have the knowledge and education. If you don't have the knowledge, it's very difficult to get ahead in any kind of portrait. And I'm not just talking about tattooing, but drawing, painting. This is the most important skill to doing portraits at the highest level. Now, most of the people watching this, you probably have a desire to tattoo portraits or have before. And I want you to know that there are many, many different ways to do a portrait. And the true beauty of the realistic portrait system is, among all things, is the simplicity. I came up with it originally in 2012, and I was not that sharp at doing portraits. I had to come up with a system that was elegant, easy to learn, and that was effective. And the last one was the most important, effective. Portrait after portrait, again and again. And the power to consistently do portraits is really what allows an artist to confidently achieve results that they could never get if they don't invest in the knowledge of portraits. The realistic portrait system, if anything, is really a discipline of tattooing a portrait. Structure, meaning the steps you take. And you can do it basically the same every single time. And when you get good at this, and once again, this is the great thing about the realistic portrait system, is good enough. Meaning, you don't have to master the strategy to start seeing massive results. Artists that learn the realistic portrait system, even the basics of it, will have a 20 to 30% increase in portraits straight away. That's how powerful this is. And when you really start to learn this stuff at a higher level of confidence, unconscious confidence, when you just do it automatically, you can double or triple results. It happens with remarkable ease. So again, my journey through this whole thing has been stumbling upon a system almost out of frustration of trying to train myself to become a world-class portrait artist. And as I hit on this system, this sort of magical formula, my portraits exploded with realism. I went from doing portraits with messed up eyes and noses to portraits that look realistic and show emotion. I started getting a full clientele of people paying top dollar for my portraits. So that's really the power of the realistic portrait system. And since then, I've literally branched out and took it to every single art form I've had an interest for: drawing, painting, and tattooing. The realistic portrait system translates into any type of portrait, whether you're a pencil artist, a painter, or a professional tattoo artist trying to branch out into portraits while making your clients satisfied with this portrait. You know, you don't want to be fucking up your clients. Everybody's got to win when tattooing a portrait. But with the realistic portrait system is that it gives you that edge, that discipline to know that when you put the gloves on to tattoo, you're going to have the confidence, the clarity, and most importantly, the system to take control of the portrait and make it a masterpiece. Now again, one more thing I want to stress is the ethics of this all. Because this system is so motivating and powerful that you might want to jump right into tattooing a portrait and not have the skill set. Make sure you know how to use the tools in your hand, because you can ruin somebody's skin. And I urge you and I caution you to not tattoo a portrait if you don't have your skills down. I want you to take this system and use it at the highest level of ethics and understanding. And that is not trying to tattoo a portrait if you can't draw it on paper. Don't tattoo a portrait if you can't make a face look realistic on paper. You get it? There's enough art forms out there that you can practice and perfect on first and get massive results. But don't tattoo a portrait and fuck it up. I've done that, and I've ruined friendships because of it, and I had to rebuild my clients. Thankfully, I was lucky and found a system. I took the time to learn how to use my tattoo machines and practice enough portraits on paper that now I have a full portrait clientele and can now teach this system. And I always make sure that when I teach this system, that other artists know the downfall of it if you take it and don't use it wisely. Okay, so once again, I'd like to introduce you to the downloadable realistic portrait course. Remember, I've gone through countless hours of perfecting the course so that it goes through everything in the realistic portrait system. Years of knowledge injected into this, and of course, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee if your portraits don't improve or you don't like the course for any reason. But watch this course and understand that this is a system, not guesswork. And more than even art, it's a science. It breaks down the basic elements of tattooing a portrait. It takes these elements that are proven strategies that allow you to A, take control of the portrait process, B, develop instant confidence to do a portrait, and C, take the tattoo through the steps from setup to the finished product, and slowly but surely develop the core things that need to be in place before creating a realistic portrait. I'm not going to tell you what all those are, I don't want to spoil all the fun, but you're going to learn the crucial elements that need to be in place before you can draw or tattoo a portrait. Okay, so again, I want you to play full out here. Also, you should re-watch the course from time to time because I think that you're going to find that there's so much info here, and I've tried to rinse it down into bite-sized chunks. Some chunks that you can use instantly tomorrow or even today if you get this today, and then there's the real advanced stuff that you can sink your teeth in for the next 3 or 4 weeks until you get to that level that I call unconscious confidence, where you know this stuff with your eyes closed and your hand just flows. Okay, so I wish you great luck. I want you to play full out with your realistic portrait course. And again, this is for you. It's for no one else but you. And if you put the time and the mental focus into this, I promise one thing, you're going to get massive results. Click the Order Now button at the bottom of this page now, and I'll also include my course on how to polish reference pictures in Photoshop for free.